Hello, everyone, and welcome to this, what we think will be a very interesting and exciting presentation. I'm Dave Myers. I'm the director of the Berks Alliance, and we've been doing these spotlights for some time now. They're good ways of engaging the community in conversations about things that are happening in the community and topics that are important. I'm going to ask a very proud Reading High School graduate to make a couple quick comments here. John?
I guess I should start with the Go Red Knights. So thanks, Dave. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining the call today. We have a topic that I think is just so important to our community because it demonstrates how through collaboration and innovation, an organization can come together to solve for an issue and a challenge that we don't talk about enough. And I'm hoping, if nothing else, that this presentation today will raise awareness toward a problem. And it exists. We were saying before the call got started that this is not just a urban problem, but it's one that exists really across the country. And Julianne Klein, could you put your phone on mute, please, or your PC on mute? That'd be helpful. I'll just remind everybody else that the audio quality is a lot better for everybody if we have our audio devices on mute.
Whoop, I think I muted you, John.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I'm easy to silence, I guess. So I just wanted to thank Dave Myers for putting this together. Dave's the executive director of the Berks Alliance. I also want to thank our presenters today for not only the work that they've put into preparing this presentation, but the work that they do every day on behalf of the school children, the students at the Reading School District, which of course affects our whole community. The Berks Alliance, as hopefully everybody knows by now, is a community development organization, and we're focused on a variety of things that hopefully build a better community for everybody. So again, I'm going to turn it back to Dave for the ground rules, but again, I'm so grateful to our presenters and for the work that they're doing relative to this very, very important topic that we're going to talk about today. So Dave, back to you.
Great, thank you, John. I'm going to cover some ground rules very quickly. We asked you to mute your microphone so we don't get a lot of background noise interfering with the conversation we're going to have. You can leave your camera on so we can see we're dealing with live people. It's always good to see live people. We record the program. We post it on the Berks Alliance website. We share it with BCTV, and we share it with everybody who registers. We get people who register for the program but aren't able to make it, so they get a copy of the video. And we ask you to please feel free to share it. There's no proprietary rights to this. It's important information. The wider spread it gets, the better off we're going to be. We asked you to use the chat function at the bottom of the screen to submit your comments and questions. When we get done with the formal presentation, we'll go to those comments and questions, and I may call on you, or I may read through the questions and comments that we get as we go through this. With that, I'm now going to turn it over to Leanne Eckenrode, who is the coordinator for social services at the Reading School District.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us. So as you said, I'm Leanne Eckenrode. I'm the coordinator of social work services for Reading School District. It took a lot of people to get this project off the ground and continues to be involved. So you're going to hear from many of us today. You're going to hear from Wayne Garris, who's our Chief Financial Officer for Reading School District, Ann Fisher, she's the Director of Student Services, Emily Stinsky, who is our Families in Transition social worker, and of course, Dr. Jennifer Murray, who is our superintendent at Reading School District. So Emily, I believe you're going to present the slideshow. All right, so we realize that there's been a lot of buzz about the Knights Keep, which is great. And we were hoping to be able to spread that information even more. So we thank you all for joining us. So the Knights Keep is a drop-in center for our students that just opened recently. And again, it is a drop-in center. We are not an overnight shelter, but the KEEP is intended to provide a safe space for students to meet their most basic needs. Luckily, we have resources in Berks County that offer that overnight shelter, so that wasn't a need that we felt like we had to meet at this point. But those basic needs was something, an area that we knew that we need to do more work for our students in. So not only are we hoping that it meets their basic needs, but this space we're hoping is a place of love and care, and students feel safe in this space and just comfortable, and they can continue to grow. So we're going to dive into more detail of how the space operates, but we wanted to just provide some background on the why and why we got here and why we know that this space is important for our students and families. So before jumping into 22-23, I'd like to share 2013, Reading School District identified 565 students experiencing homelessness. So when we jump to year 22-23 and see that that number increased to 1,028 students, while there are, of course, we understand some systemic reasons for that to occur, but we also truly believe that it is partially because of our identification efforts in the district. We have 43 school social workers now across the district. Each building has an identified McKinney-Vento liaison. Their job is to provide education for staff to make sure that they know the red flags of homelessness and to make sure that that information gets to the McKinney-Vento liaison in the building. So that McKinney-Vento liaison then provides those families and those students with the necessary resources and make sure that our buildings are following McKinney-Vento protections. So for those of you who may not know, McKinney-Vento is a federal law that protects our students to ensure that they have the rights to educational stability. So when we identify a student or family experiencing homelessness, we make sure that they have immediate enrollment regardless of paperwork, and that they get to stay in their school district of origin or in their building of origin just to maintain that educational continuity. So you'll see here, 2 students in a classroom of 30 could be identified as experiencing homelessness right now in the district. It's important to know that I say right now, because this is a point in time. So when we talk about instability that our students are facing, the probability of some of our high school students experiencing some kind of housing instability throughout their academic career is pretty likely. So it's important that our teachers know the signs, and that's part of that McKinney-Vento liaison's role. So looking at our point in time data, this was done weeks ago. We normally don't get our numbers from PDE until 2 years later. So this is really the best way to capture what we're seeing in this moment. So it could very well be that these numbers have increased just over the past few weeks. So right now, during the first quarter, we identified 300 students that are doubled up around Berks County. This does not reflect the students living in shelters or hotels. So often we think that doubled up is the safest place for our families to be, and a lot of times it is. And when we talk about the Night's Keep, it's just important to recognize that the unaccompanied youth, even though their families may be doubled up, a lot of times, there's not room for them. So while we identify them as doubled up, they could be couch surfing because they couldn't stay there that night with their family. Or as we all know, teenagers, sometimes their behavior, normal developmental behavior may not be something that's welcome in someone else's house. So a lot of times they're asked that they need to find another place to go for the night. So our social workers are most often referring to food access, the Knight's Closet, and rental assistance and mental health. And then our families are reporting that they're most often the reason for homelessness is around that financial hardship, eviction, and domestic violence. So what I had shared regarding their reasons for leaving, it's reflected here in this data, because if we look at the previous data said that our social workers are helping more often with rental assistance, but we see that that breaks off now. And when we look at the high school specific data, they're helping with the Knight's Closet and mental health supports. So they're not necessarily intervening with rental assistance. So this makes it clear that it's now they're focused more on an individual intervention with those high school students. So the fact that most of them are doubled up, this is telling us that they may be doubled up, but they are doing a lot of these things on their own, and they need that individual support. So the Knight's Closet is, you may be aware, this is our closet there's one in every single building in our district that has the students' most basic needs, shampoo, laundry. I often over the years have shared some impact stories of students that have benefited from the Knight's Closet. And I hesitate to do that looking back, because I feel like that moment when you need something from the closet is a very vulnerable moment, and that's your story to share. But I will tell you that when you give a student some items that they can take back to that family where they're perhaps doubled up, and if they can help the household and be less of a burden, or if you help that family with school supplies or other resources from the closet, you certainly see the benefit right away. Our community has been great in helping stock that closet. If you or anybody you know would like to donate, we are currently in need of cold weather items, hats and gloves and coats. If you'd like to donate, please email the Knight's Closet, sorry, not the Knight's Closet at readingsd.org. If students or families need anything from the Knight's Closet, they can just reach out to their building social worker. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ann Fisher, who's going to talk about how these ideas around the Knight's Keep really became a reality.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So as the Knight's Keep, or as the Knight's Closet grew, and they grew across the district and everyone had one, we started having some other conversations about needs of our students. At one point, they had talked about renovating some of the high school's health room and putting showers in there. Moving forward, we decided that probably wasn't going to be the best use of space, and we looked at other spaces, and those of us who were involved in this idea and this project were offered the space of what used to be the daycare center, and then at one point had been some night school classrooms. And that developed into the collaboration with the architectures and developing what we wanted to look, what we thought it should look like, what we thought students would want it to look like. And in deciding what we were going to call this space and wanting it to be something really special and meaningful, we had some conversation about our castle and the Red Knight, and a little bit of research led me to discover that the Knight castles actually have a place called the Keep, and the Keep is the place where knights go after a battle to get some food and fellowship and rest and comfort and just kind of de-escalate after that trauma. And it just seemed to be a very fitting spot for a name for this space where we could embrace our students and give them some protection and some of those basic needs that they might not get out in the community if they're experiencing some housing issues.
When I share and talk about this space with my colleagues and my friends and my family, it really comes back to returning a level of dignity to students that may have lost that.
I see those students' faces all over this space. I see the students that were living in abandoned buildings. So the emotion it brings out, of course, I am so excited that we can offer this to students now, but I feel a little angry, to be honest, that we didn't do it before. So often we heard from students the barriers that were keeping them from school were some of their most basic needs that we weren't able to meet in the closet, including laundry and showers, or have food. It's our responsibility to give them those resources that they need, and we took that responsibility seriously and created the Knights Keep.
The plans just expanded and became really magnificent, and we're here in this space that is a place for our students to come and get wrapped in some love and affection that they are lacking. We specifically chose the Knights Keep as a name because the keep is the part of a castle where the knights go after a battle to get fellowship and food and experience some rest and respite after a battle. And our students who come here have experienced those battles.
Starting the rollout, we were focusing mainly on our high school students that were experiencing homelessness. So we identify students every single day, and it was in those conversations like, hey, we have the Knights Keep. This is a space where you can come and just be a kid and have your needs met. And then we build on that a little bit more throughout the months, and we've extended it to any social work referral or anybody that our student service department felt the student would benefit just from having that safety and that consistent space.
At the end of the day, kids are here to learn, and if there's a way that we can get students to come back to school so they can get an education to be able to improve their life circumstances, then that is another way to help them build and restore that dignity within themselves. I think this is a short-term solution to addressing a nationwide problem, but we have the ability to help the kids that we work with every day. And I am in all of the work that our social workers and our counselors and our nurses and our teachers and all of the educators, whether you're a custodian to a superintendent, you all have an impact on a student's life. And this gives us that advantage to help those that are in greatest in need.
When you walk in this space, you are just a kid, you are just a student, and as a school, we are your school family, and you are safe and you are loved.
So again, this is, sorry, it's such a little emotional watching that movie every time. So again, the Knights Keep is really something that we have embraced here in the Reading School District. And we're certainly hopeful that our students who come there for removal of those barriers so they can meet their educational goals and their dreams outside of Reading High School, that we can partner with you and you'll be able to provide us with some assistance and guidance as we move forward in this programming. So I think at this point, I'm turning it over to Mr. Garris, our CFO.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's certainly been an honor to be part of this project. And as we looked at this project, a lot of questions that we get from people are, what and how much did this cost, and how did the district, how was the district able to fund it? We were fortunate to receive funding through ESSER's funding, which allowed for dollars to be spent to help educate our students. But one of the areas that we received some of the ARP funding was relative to assisting students that are experiencing homelessness, and how can we improve their lives. So with those funds and a commitment by our school board and our administration, we allocated approximately $750,000 to the fit out of the space, which allowed for us to provide the basic needs and necessities that our students deserve. Through that process, it was about a 2-year effort from design to complete construction. We began construction in January of 2024, and then we completed that just in time for the new school year, where we opened in September and had our ribbon cutting. At this time, we are currently serving students in the space. And it certainly would not have been a complete effort without the support of our contractors, many of them who provided services for free or reduced rates, worked with their suppliers to provide reduced costs to the district so that we could maximize the amount of services that we can provide to our students. And the contractors there are listed and certainly deserve credit for the beautiful space that they created. Our school social workers, counselors, and student assistant program trained teachers are currently providing support to the students in the space. We are providing services before school and after school. And in addition to that, if there are kids that can't access the space in those hours, they're able to work through specific appointments. So from a budgetary standpoint, we've built in about $100,000 to provide the resources for the additional hours to man the Night's Keep, and then also maintain a budget to provide the necessary supplies that are needed throughout servicing those students. If anybody has any questions on the additional financial background, please let me know. At this time, I will turn it over to Emily Sinisky to share the actual components of the space in detail.
Thank you. So I'm Emily Sinisky. I'm the Families in Transition social worker for the district, and I'm housed at Reading High School, so I can kind of oversee this project and collaborate with our staff and our students. So we are open on Tuesday and Thursday mornings from 6 a.m. to 7:30, 7:25, and then we close our doors so students can get to homeroom. We don't want our students to be missing instructional time, so they're getting the best education. And then we are open Monday through Thursday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Like Wayne said, if there's any students at any time that cannot make those accommodations before or after school, we talk with those students, we figure out a time in their schedule when it's appropriate to miss instructional time so they can take care of their needs. And we're not creating additional barriers. We just ask that it's a collaborative effort and we want to make sure their needs are being met. So when students come into our doors, all they're required to do is sign in with their school ID number. And it's a QR code, and we have check boxes that they just complete, what are they dropping in for? So we have some sort of data to make sure that we're servicing the students the best that we can. So things like social area or laundry, showers or studying space. So right now our data kind of reflects just social areas, food, and studying. But as we continue to get the word out a little bit by more, we're going to start to see those trends change a little bit. So when students are checking in for the very first time in the Knights Keep, we do have them complete a contact sheet. And on that contact sheet is just their very basic information. And then we have 2 questions that ask, do you have a place to stay tonight? Do you feel safe or do you feel safe where you're staying? And if any of those questions raise concerns, our social workers on staff will intervene immediately by making sure that student has a roof over their head when those doors close at 6 p.m. to ensure their safety. And then we can continue the conversations the following day during the school day where we can make sure that there's a long-term plan for their safety. And I will also be meeting with those students to complete a needs-based assessment just to kind of offer some additional support and offer some different case management to make sure their needs right now are being met 2 months from now, 3 months from now, and 5 years from now when they leave. Because we want our students to feel like they have that support once they leave our buildings and they are fully functioning adults in our community and supporting our younger Knights. So kind of going into our social area, we have beautiful decorations and a nice comfy couch to sit on. And this space just kind of gives our kids that space to just be a kid. We do have a TV, we've got some board games and coloring books, video games. And it's just truly that space for our students to hang out and just be a kid. And I can just attest that it's been a beautiful moment to watch our students just kind of sit and hang out and play games or just chit chat with their friends because they have that space. So right behind or right in front of, however you want to look at it, the social area, we have our study space, and we have 5 study nooks for our students to kind of have that quiet space, and it is kind of slightly blocked off by a wall, so it controls the sound a little bit. All of our Reading High students are assigned a Chromebook and a charger, but just in case they forgot it, they don't have the charger, it's dead, all of those things that just kind of happen, we have 2 desktops available that our students are able to complete their academics just in case. Again, we wanted to make sure that we're not creating more barriers and we have the space that they have for their education. And then we just have some basic school supplies in case they need anything, rulers, calculators, pens, pencils, all of the works available to them. And then right on the other side of the study area is our kitchenette. So we have a basic kitchen equipment. So we have 2 microwaves, a refrigerator, a full-size deep freezer. We have hot plate, griddles, toasters, and all the basic cookingware that students can come and make a meal if they want to make something themselves. We also have some basic pantry items like snacks, prepared meals, soups, things like that from Helping Harvest. And Clean Eats has been a wonderful donor, and with their collaboration with our local gyms was able to donate a bunch of freezer meals that our students are obsessed with, that they just throw in the microwave for 2 minutes and they eat it up within minutes, and they're like, that was so good. So it's been really great to have our businesses and our partners in our community wrap their love around our students right now. And then right by the door that we have the students enter in from the school building is our locker room. So we have 24 very large lockers, and they can store any items in there, and they can pick their combination. And then it resets every time. And then there's a master key that we have just in case a student forgot their combination to the locker, but it does change every time. They can be used to store laundry or anything that they want to during the day. If they want to drop something off in the morning, if they want to drop off like a laundry bag and do it after school, they can do so in a discreet way that's not bringing their laundry in through the school buildings. We've gone back and forth and discussed, storing things overnight. We're not openly advertising storage overnight. However, this will just be considered case by case with students to make sure that items are taken home and kept safe for them and for our school. And going over to the very back of the keep, we have our laundry facilities. So we have 4 standard washer dryer units. I believe our washers are on the bottom and our dryers are right on top. And then we have 1 stacked industrial size washer and dryer as well for those bulk items like towels. And all laundry detergent, dryer sheets, all of that stuff is supplies. So our students just have to show up, bring their laundry, and it'll all be taken care of. We are encouraging our students to have those independent foundational skills. So we will help them, show them how to use the washers and dryers, and then they can finish their laundry, fold it, do whatever they want to do it once they leave the space. We have partnered with our special education classes. So we had a group of students in our life skills, autistic support, and emotional support come and help. They washed all of our towels and washcloths and all of our laundry before we officially opened our doors. So they were all washed and folded, and it was absolutely fabulous to not have to do that myself. And they've been really wonderful about how can we help more, and we want to be involved because all of our students can have a part in this space, and that was really important to us in our planning. So then sort of in the laundry area, we do have 3 bathrooms. So there are 3 single bathrooms. They have a toilet and a shower, and it's kind of like an area for them to get ready in. We have 1 handicap accessible shower with like a bench and the hose, or the head with the hose to kind of assist with. And we have all of our soap, shampoo, and conditioners in soap dispensers on the wall. So again, students just have to show up. We'll have that stuff all ready for them in the space. We do have a few items to take and go in case they don't have something. We do have full-size soap, shampoo, conditioner, toothbrushes, things like that in one of our closets in the Keep, just so we don't have to run back to the main part of the building to get some items from the closet. We do a few items on hand just to make sure that our students have those items right away. Looking down at the bottom picture is a robe hanging. We did have a generous donation of bathrobes. So when our students do come in, I forgot to mention this earlier, we do give our students, or planning to give our students little swag bags, and they have a brand new robe, a laundry bag, and shower shoes that they can take with them, bring back, but just kind of a way to say, we're glad you're here, and here's some items that you can use today or anytime in the future. So that was kind of the overview and a little bit of details about each space. It's been very unique to plan how the space operates because there's not a space like this in the country that we believe of. There was rumors that there was a space in Texas, and I was in contact with Texas, and it turns out their space is totally different than how this space operates. So it's truly one of its kind, which makes it absolutely so special to our district and our students and our city to kind of have this space. And it takes a village to raise a student and support a student. So we definitely feel that. So just some district-wide service goals, like Leanne mentioned, we do have a Knights Closet in every single building. So while the Knights Keep is primarily focused on our high school students, we have Knights Closets in every building. So all of our friends down in pre-K also have access to some basic needs to take care of things as we identify. We have an outreach team that is a collaborative effort between social workers, school counselors, and our nurses. And one of our projects this year is to identify our community areas that have laundry and shower facilities, so we can support the families that maybe aren't high school families, or the high school student can receive support from the Knights Keep, but we're also supporting the rest of the family and making sure we can find those community networks. And just our continued collaborative effort has increased with our local agencies to kind of combat the housing crisis and advocacy initiatives for our community members experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity. And I'm going to pass it back to Wayne.
So again, here's the opportunity to show you not only what we're doing at the Knights Keep at the high school, but what's next for the Reading School District. And as many of you may be aware, we are in the process of building a new STEM high school academy located at 9th and Windsor Street. The proposed name, you may hear it first here, as the board still has yet to approve it, but the Reading High School Innovation Academy. It will be scheduled to open hopefully for the 25-26 school year. But as we've had some construction delays due to some unforeseen rock in the ground, we do have some delays that we're working through here. But the great news is that the space at the Innovation Academy will have a second site for the Knights Keep. So the students that would be relocated from the high school to the Innovation Academy will still have access to a similar space and provide the same services that we have at the high school. So we're certainly looking forward to that. As I mentioned in the video, this is really a short-term solution to a nationwide problem. So we will continue to work with our community partners and agencies to really find a way to prevent homelessness with students in our realm. We certainly know those are circumstances that are beyond the control of all of our students, and unfortunately, they are really just subject to dealing with those life circumstances. So we certainly look to you as our community members and our partners, and how we can maybe address these going forward. And I know that if anything I've learned in living in Berks County my entire life is that we do take care of our own in various different ways. So if you hear us knocking or calling, please pick up the phone and provide your support as best as possible. And again, one way to do that is that we are offering tours of our space to many of our local agencies that service the same population, and trying to find ways that we can collaborate. As we mentioned, I think there was a misconception that we were a shelter. We are really a drop-in center, and that gives us the opportunity to try to collaborate and cross-fit some of the things that our needs of the students are with those outside agencies. So that's what's on the plans in the near future. But as we conclude here, first, I do want to take the opportunity to thank GRCA and Berks Alliance for the opportunity to present this wonderful space and to demonstrate how we are trying to aid our students in the educational process. We are looking at all of the exterior barriers and finding ways to ensure that we get them back in the classroom so they're able to improve their lives and create a good footing to prevent these situations occurring as they have full control of their lives in the future. Certainly would like to thank the presenters here today: Ann Fisher, Leanne Eckenrode, Emily Snitsky, and I'd be remiss if I did not thank our school board and our superintendent, Dr. Jennifer Murray. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Murray for some final comments, and then we will open it up to questions to those that are online today.
Thank you, Wayne. I don't know if there's anything else I could say. The Reading School District has a fabulous team that I am blessed to work with every single day. And I echo Wayne and Leanne's words that we really truly feel it's our responsibility to remove any barriers that get in the way of learning, no matter what those barriers are. And as you can see it for yourself, this is true testimony to that. But this is, again, just one program that the Reading School District has. We have many programs that address barriers. And again, thank you to Dave and John for inviting us on there to share what we are very proud of in the Reading School District with our Knights Keep. So thank you.
Thank you, team. It's so inspiring to see the Reading School District tackling an issue like this as the way you're doing it. It's should be inspiration for all school districts in Pennsylvania. I do have a bunch of questions that I want to get through. Some of them are going back and doing some very basic sorts of things about definition stuff. Leanne, when you talked about doubled up and underhoused, what do you mean? What do those words mean?
So doubled up means that they're sharing the housing of others. So they are not on the lease for whatever reason. There are some families that are doubled up because they choose to be doubled up. That's completely different. But they're considered to be under McKinney-Vento homeless if they're doubled up for reasons beyond their control.
And Underhouse, what does that mean?
So underhoused could mean that it's not suitable living conditions. So if you have a family of 6 living in a 1-bedroom apartment, that's considered to be unstable, because it's not adequate housing. Or if you have a house that it's infested with bed bugs, that's not adequate housing, so that's underhoused.
So it could be plumbing, it could be the quality of the housing, those kinds of things.
Correct.
Those are challenges that I think when people think about this issue, they think of homeless as people sort of sleeping in sleeping bags on the street. But this goes beyond that. This is goes to the quality of housing and those kinds of things as well. Wayne, you mentioned funding sources, ARP and ESSER funding. What exactly, ancient history now, 2 years old. What exactly was that?
So as a result of the pandemic, there were 3 funding mechanisms that were issued. ESSER 2, which is Elementary Secondary School Relief Act. And those were funds that were allocated to school districts to allow for districts to ensure that students continue to receive the quality of education they had prior to the pandemic, during the pandemic. So many districts were closed for multiple months. We were closed for nearly 18 months. So we had to really pivot towards providing that remote learning. So we utilize a lot of the ESSER funding initially to provide the initial purchase of Chromebooks. And for individuals or families that did not have access to a Wi-Fi or internet, we provided families with those sources through Comcast. And then as we returned to school, those funds continued so that we were able to provide additional resources to students to kind of catch them up for the learning loss that occurred while they were not in school. And that included, remedial services, the hiring of additional staff members to provide services relative to, even the emotional support that students needed during the time frame that they were out of school. So think if you were an elementary school student who couldn't see their friends or their favorite teacher, or in many cases their favorite lunch lady. I mean, the people that they see every day, that really had a major toll on them emotionally. So, we found ways in different programmings to provide that. And then under the third act, they actually provided funds that were specific towards certain projects. So for instance, we had funds that were allocated general ed, but we got funds that were allocated to after school programming, summer school programming, and then specifically educating our students that are experiencing homelessness or in some house condition. So that is the funding mechanism. We talk about ARP, that was the American Recovery Plan. Is that what that stands for? So again, very fortunate to receive those funds to provide these resources to students.
Leanne, you said that this, you feel that this is the responsibility of the school district to give them, the students, the resources they need. Why do you think that's the responsibility of the school district?
Because when we talk about educating the whole child, that is the whole child, right? When we think about the systematic barriers that they're facing every day, that they are not able to access their education, it is our responsibility, as Dr. Murray mentioned, to remove those or to address those systematic barriers. And this is one part of the systematic barrier that we're able to address. And this is not the last, and the work continues. But I think we take that very, very seriously, and I'm so proud to work for a district that does so.
You talked in the presentation about putting a roof over people's heads. What do you do? How do you do that?
So we have amazing resources in Berks County. We partner with Mary Shelter, and they provide shelter for our unaccompanied youth. And they're a great partner. And we work hard to make with our regional office. We also partner with, I would definitely be remiss not to mention them. But our regional office at the BCIU, they're a great partner in trying to find sometimes last minute housing for our students, or the Berks Coalition. It's really our partnerships in the community to try to find that resources. And sometimes it's last minute. And, honestly, it's not always the best solution. I'm not going to say that, we have adequate housing every day for our students. We try our best, but like Wayne said, that it's a big problem, and it's a nationwide problem that we need to continue to address. We don't have all the answers, but we do our best with what we have and the resources we have in the community.
And Dave, if I could add to that, I think that it really comes down to continual advocacy. We need to have a greater voice, not only for our students, but for our community. And that really takes everybody here that's on this call. And again, we're very pleased that you're interested in learning about this initiative. But I think the next step is that if you have a voice, if you have a connection to a legislator, if you have a connection to agencies that might benefit the school district, advocate for more funding, advocate for more resources. And we try to do that on a daily basis here, but it really takes a louder voice to make the greatest amount of change. And if we are united in that voice, everyone will hear us.
Just to chime in as well, before we officially opened our doors for students, I did have a representative from every shelter in our area come, and we sat around the chair, around the couch, physically in the space. Wayne, I believe, was sitting on the floor, crisscross applesauce, very engaged. I have to highlight the amazing work that our team has had, and we had every partner from our shelters. And I said, I'm going to be calling you, or my colleague's going to be calling you, and it may be at 6 o'clock. And we need to find a place for our students. And they were absolutely, I got really emotional after the meeting, like absolutely willing to find solutions. They said, we might not have an answer, but we'll stay on the phone until we do find an answer. So, just those growing partnerships with our agencies, and knowing that it's like, and having that conversation of, when I'm calling you, know that I've already asked these 20 questions before picking up the phone, and we're already in a crisis mode and we need to partner. And they were very receptive, and they're like, here's our cards, here's our numbers. We'll make sure that student has a roof over their head that night, and then long-term planning. So there's so many levels to the planning and being intentional, and it's really, really great. But the community has been, call us any minute of any day.
That's great. It sounds like you've got some great partnerships going with the variety of shelters that are available in the community, and that's really significant. We've had a couple questions about some other sorts of relationships. One is with the medical community, dealing with physical health, dealing with behavioral health, dealing with mental health. Do you have any connections there? Are there services that the Knights Keep provides, or direction that they can provide to students who need those kinds of services?
Yes, I'll take that one. So, and I know Dr. Kimball. Dr. Kimball, when I started here, was our school physician consultant. So our current school physician consultant is Dr. Karen Wong, who's the chief medical officer at the Berks Community Health Centers. Our nurses and our social workers and our counselors even have a great relationship with the staff there. So we already refer students and their families to that organization to establish a medical home, because they don't require insurance. They don't even require payment if a family doesn't need that. They do have dental services. We do have 2 certified registered dental health practitioners who provide services to our students in the district, and they make referrals there, as well as to the free clinic that is run by St. Joe's, I believe. So we have some of those services in place. And we're going to continue to do that. We're growing our relationship with Berks Community Health Center, and are hopeful that we may be able to add a clinic next to the Keep. So our students will have some access there. But actually bringing those people into the Keep, I think, is not kind of the environment that we want that space to be. That's a little bit more invasive. And I think Emily touched on this a little bit before, and she and I have had these conversations because my mind doesn't always think like a social worker mind does. But one of the goals of this space is to provide our students, our high school students who are growing into adults, what is available to them in the community so they don't have to come to the Keep if they don't need to. We want them to, but we want them to learn how to be self-sustaining adults in the community with the resources that are available to them. So it's not always about bringing them in, it's about bringing them in and showing them, educating them about what they need to do and how they can care for themselves and their families in the community. And Emily, you can piggyback on that if I missed anything. But that probably answers a lot of questions, hopefully.
Yeah, our goal is to, yeah, like you said, and like do it with them. And I mean, in our restorative focus of, it's not saying here, go figure it out. It's let's do it together. On several occasions, myself and I know other social workers have done it where we've walked students to food pantries, to different things to kind of show them, hey, this is how this works. Now, next time you can try to do it yourself. Let me know if you have any bumps in the roads. And it's guiding those students in a vulnerable situation to a place that may seem scary at first. And again, having those partnerships with our community to show, yes, we will welcome you with open arms, whether there's a Reading school staff or not, has been really, really wonderful.
Who are some of the other community partners that you've been working with, that you're trying to work with? And who are the ones you need to get engaged?
That's a great question. I feel like I've done a tour of the Knights Keep almost every single week since the beginning of the school year with a different agency. Or right before this meeting, I was like, I should probably count up, who has come and who hasn't come, so I can get them to come in. But we've had all of our local shelters. We've had businesses come. We've had the health clinic came on Friday and did a tour. Children and youth has come up to and anybody that I can get my hands on to come, because you work with our students, you work with our families, and it could be students experiencing homelessness, or it could just be a student that needs a buffer or needs just that safe space to be. And we're having flyers that just got through my email today that are translated and ready to go. And I'm working on getting them printed and then delivering them to businesses and agencies in our community. So while someone is working with a family member or a student, they can say, hey, do you know the Knights Keep is available to your high school student? Or do you know the Knights Closet is available? Just so you all can start seeing and advocating and partnering together.
On a daily basis, how many students are using the Knights Keep?
So that's a difficult question. We have had a slow rollout. Like I said a little bit earlier, that there's not been a model like this to exist. We have a building of over 5,000 students at the high school. To say, hey, high school, we're open up to you, was very scary. And we wanted to make sure our vulnerable students felt safe and secure and a place to get their needs met. So we have worked on giving student tours, integrating it more into conversations. So it's been a very slow rollout from August or October was when we first opened our doors to our identified homeless students. And they came, they loved it. They were like, this is great. And I said, okay, so what's missing? Because I know I'm missing stuff. Tell me, give me your feedback. And they were like, people. We want community. So slowly we started opening up a little bit more. And I believe Ms. DeBlasi is on here. I think I saw her name pop up. Our principal at Reading High. Officially, the announcement went out this morning at our morning announcements that the Knights Keep is open to the building. So now we're going to start getting some students that self-refer, and students we did not have on our radar, because right now we're only looking at students we know about that have been open with us. But now we might have some students that say, oh, I don't have hot water at home, but I can get a shower at school. I'm going to use that. And then with our case management services, we can support maybe that student getting that hot water turned on to prevent homelessness further down the road. So to say how many students come in is rather difficult, because it's been a slow rollout, but it's been a purposeful rollout to make sure our students are safe, secure, and supported no matter what they're going through.
And when we opened it up, I'm sorry, I just wanted to mention, when we open it up to everybody, it really shifts then our focus from just reactive to more proactive. So now we're able to be more proactive for those students that could eventually lead to homelessness.
And have you gotten any feedback from, I mean, I guess you're just starting to reach out to the rest of the student body, but have you gotten any feedback from the students about how they feel about what's happening there? How important it is? Is it
They
too
love
early?
it. They love it. And I think they love the space. They think it's beautiful. They're like, I can see myself doing this. And I think that they're hesitant because they think somebody else has it worse. And even, our students that are going through, the things we can't imagine, where they may be the quote unquote ideal candidate to use this space, they're still thinking somebody else has it worse than I do. And it's trying to rewrite that and saying that we're not comparing here. This is for you, this is for everybody. And I think in this space, that's why I intentionally put so many signs like, all are welcome here. We're glad you're here, that it does not matter how much or how little you have. We just want you to know that this space is here and you are loved and that's supported in our school community.
How are you going to measure success? What are your definitions of when you're successful, how the program's successful?
I think if a student walks out with a smile, to me, that's success. I think that's a hard thing to measure, in that data look. But to me, that becomes personal. And it's if that student walks out with a smile and says, I'll see you tomorrow, or I'm going to work on this when I go back to where I'm living. That's just kind of where I look at things.
And we're also having conversations about collecting data as part of the rollout. We realize that data is going to be important for like attendance. Is this increasing attendance? Is this increasing their success academically? So we're not quite there yet, but those are conversations that we're going to make sure that those aspects are captured.
Yeah, I think, it's probably important to figure out how to keep students engaged, because the potential of losing them, I guess, over time is a real challenge. So that's, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to get to. Wayne had talked about providing a level of dignity for the students that they may not feel they have because of their situations. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, somebody? Wayne.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think that there's, going back to what Emily had said, that one thing that we've learned about our kids and we know about our kids is that they are extremely resilient, and they are kind, and they are thoughtful of other people. And the fact that they put others before themselves is, creates a sense of belonging and a sense of community support. But, we don't want kids to be ashamed of anything in their lives. We don't want them to not come to school because they didn't take a shower, right? Or don't have clean clothes, or the dignity of wearing dirty clothes, or the lack of dignity that's looked upon them. They're looked down upon if they're dirty or dirty clothes, or don't have certain resources. And this KEEP is to try to prevent that, right? So to say, hey, come to take a shower, go to school, have fun with your friends, learn something, and kind of restore that sense of dignity. We wish we could do more for them when they leave our doors at 6 o'clock, but we know that we're at least giving them an opportunity to, kind of be who they were prior to whatever situation created the event that they're in. And, I've never been in that situation, so I can't say what it would truly feel like, but that should not be a barrier. That should not be something that prevents kids from coming to school every day. And kind of to answer your last question, though, Dave, I think the success is ultimate success is not having to use this space, right? We built it with hoping that one day we will not need it, but we will continue to support students until that day comes.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because that would be ideal if we could possibly get to that point. But in fact, you guys are planning to open up another one of these in another building, and you have closets in all the school districts. What are your ambitions for this program? What's the future going to look like?
I think if I'll start the conversation, we've had conversations that, this is all happening at the high school level. How do we address this with, their siblings or at the middle school level? And, we're trying to have conversations on how we can manage that, throughout the entire district. But our goal is to, maybe it's, bring a friend day to allow students to feel more comfortable. Maybe their younger sibling would come with them to the keep. So we're trying to address those and how we can expand the program throughout the district.
It's such an inspirational program. We're at the sort of our closing time, and I'm trying to go to a hard stop, but we're not necessarily going to do that. I want to ask Dr. Murray if you want to do any final comments here, and then I will close up the session.
Just thank you again for allowing us the space and the time with everyone. You're all very engaged, which is a great thing to share the program and our efforts. It does mean, and I put this in the chat, it does mean a lot to us that the community is so engaged, and the community will do anything and everything they can to help support our efforts. I think we have really smart people that work in the district. They have a plan. They base decision on data. They're creative, they're innovative, and looking for these things. And it all just came together with this program. So again, I work with the best people in any school district across the country. And look, we plan to do more work. Our work's not done. It's never going to be done, but just will look for us in the future.
It is so wonderful to see what you're doing and to see the Reading School District as being an inspiration to other school districts across Pennsylvania. This is just an incredible and important thing that you're doing. We've had several people using chat function to volunteer to help, so I'll share those with you guys. And I will share with everybody who registered for the program the contact information on how to support the program, and then the names and contacts of the 4 people who did the presentations today. Terrific work and so inspiring. Everybody, the enthusiasm, you could hear the applause, Jen. Thank you.
Great.
And thank you everyone for joining us. This is such an inspirational sort of thing. So thank you very much, and we hope to see you at future programs.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.
Well done, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays to everybody.